Well, hello one and all, welcome to Seen Through Glass. Welcome to New York. I have quite literally just stepped off a 7-hour flight here from the UK. I've left the airport, walked across the road into a car park and stepped into this brand new Maserati GranTurismo Trofeo. I've been wanting to check out this car for a while, but I kind of struggled to track one down, so I'm super excited about the days ahead. Most of you will know that my wife Vicky's all-time favourite car is the previous generation Maserati GranTurismo. I think we can agree it was a fantastic choice from her. The old gen GranTurismo was one of the best sounding, one of the best looking Italian cars, maybe of all time. Problem was they made it for like 45 years. So it very quickly became kind of old. She used to nag me a lot to go and buy one whenever I was considering replacing one of my cars. She was like, go get a GranTurismo, please. I was like, it's just a bit slow now and the interior's a bit old and the tech's a bit old. So then when this new one launched, well, I kind of ran out of excuses. She was like, there you go, perfect, it's new. The thing is, whilst the looks, well, are just a sort of evolution of the beautiful old design, great. The interior is a massive step forward to become this just delicious place to sit, fantastic. I'm slightly concerned that the heart and the soul of the GranTurismo is gone because we no longer have the V8. Instead, we've inherited an engine that I don't necessarily love, the Nettuno engine from the Maserati MC20, and that concerns me. But I'm here to be positive, I'm here to be excited because yes, walking up to this thing after a 7-hour flight, I'm like, hello, the next few days are gonna be good. So we're just gonna dive straight into it, and of course, no Seen Through Glass video or adventure is complete without a coffee, especially when I'm kickstarting this video after a 7-hour flight. It's gonna have to be at least like a triple shot. So I need a lot of espresso right now. Well, in an unsurprising development, I've hit traffic. So I thought I'd update you on my first 15 minutes behind the wheel of this car, share some initial impressions. And I've said the impressions are good. It's pretty nice, this car. It rides the road really well. It's sort of comfortable, but firm enough to suggest that when we turn things up, it's going to be good around the corners, or at least I hope. But this interior is just lovely. I really like it. I like the design. I like the way that this secondary air conditioning screen is kind of lifted out towards me. I can slide my phone under there, some wireless charging. Apple CarPlay all integrated really nicely. Actually, I always find it a bit of an interesting test to see how quickly I can familiarize myself with a new car when I haven't been in it before. I have spent
on I-678 north for 1.5 miles.
So I've got Susie's sat-nav on, as in the voice from the sat-nav, because I find driving in American cities a little bit complex. It's often like sort of, you know, take this off-ramp, and then it's the next off-ramp, and then the third left. Anyway, so she's chatting to me. But yeah, I have spent some time around this generation, or this new era of Maserati, in the Grecale, well, only the Grecale, yeah. So I kind of got used to the fact that the gearbox controls are just these naff buttons, not great, but this lovely digital clock I really like, all the steering wheel buttons, yeah, it's just easy to kind of figure out, and I've got sort of Tesla style surround view of what's going on, the traffic moving around me and stuff. Yeah, even had the music going. It's pretty nice. 17 minutes until the coffee stop. I'm in no rush, I'm having a lovely time. I feel like an entirely new person. That was a good coffee, and yeah, wow. That was The Well, which is here in Queens. Some of you asked me, how do I find good coffee spots when I'm traveling? Well, I'll let you in on a little bit of a travel hack or a tip. When you're searching on Google Maps for a coffee, don't just type in coffee, type specialty roasted coffee. That will usually bring up the proper places, and that really was a proper place. Also, a nice little acai bowl, yeah, ready and raring to go. Whilst I was in there, I did a little bit of research on this car just so I knew exactly what I was talking about. I kind of realised that actually this thing is now very similar to my old Jaguar F-Type R, We're at 550 horsepower and 650 newton meters of torque in this car, which is like 25 horsepower and 50 newton meters down on the F-Type R, but this car is now all-wheel drive and uses an 8-speed ZF gearbox, which is similar to the F-Type R. Obviously the F-Type, again, still V8, supercharged V8, this twin-turbo V6, but there are familiarities. However, this is pitched out or aimed at a much higher price point. This is theoretically a Bentley Continental GT rival. At least that's how Maserati want you to think of it. Anyway, I've got a jam-packed few days here in the city. I'm going to mainly be driving this car in and around the city. But before we do that, I want to get out to the sticks, or at least as far out to the sticks as I can, to turn things up and see what happens when you start to push on this thing. So I have no idea what I'm going to find. We've got a few hours left of daylight. I've got a road which I actually got the tip for from Jerry Seinfeld whilst listening to a Spike's Car Radio episode. So let's hope Jerry knows what he's talking about. And yeah, we're going to go out, turn this thing up into Corsa mode, which sounds exciting, and see if this engine can come to life a little bit. Lots of interesting noises in this car when you start up. Very musical. I guess an Italian car should be musical. So I've actually crossed the state line. I'm now in Connecticut. The road I was aiming for was the 22, but it turned out to be quite a big and busy road, and it's kind of school pickup time. So I basically took a right off it, and we're now kind of on these residential back roads, some sections of which are pretty good. Now at the moment, I've turned things up to sport. I've left the suspension in the softer setting, and I'm just starting to get used to this thing. One thing I'd have to say, it does feel quite heavy, this car. I haven't checked the weight, but it does feel quite heavy. However, that's almost the only negative I've got. It is still such a lovely road car, this thing. Now look, it's not a sort of 10/10, let's set Nürburgring lap records, but as a point A to point B car, an ultimate GT, I do think it's a bit more refined than my old F-Type R. The front end feels a little bit more poised, just in general, just things about it. It feels better. I'm going to come out and say it feels better. Now, what do I not like about this Nettuno engine? Because I keep slagging it off. It's the fact that it just feels a little bit gutless. You know, ooh, which way does the road go? I had no idea. That was a bit of a... Could we go up there? Don't really want to follow this FedEx van. I'm really making this up, people. Let's go down here and see what happens. No, this looks very sketchy. Yeah, it doesn't sound that fantastic. It almost sounds like a little hatchback 4-cylinder rather than a twin-turbo 6. And there's quite a lot of turbo lag. Even now we're in the sort of sporty mode. Unless you're really down in the gears, sometimes you're a bit like, oh, come on, and then it just absolutely spits you. Obviously the all-wheel drive helps a lot in this new Maserati, but I don't know, there's a lot of power, there's a lot of speed, but not a lot of soul from that little engine. Oh, it does though start to sound a little bit better as you turn up the driving modes and turn up the performance. So let's go into Corsa. It's now automatically put the suspension into hard. So if I push this, then goes into sport, I guess, or soft. Oh, hard or sport. Oh, okay, so I can't have the ultimate comfy. Driving systems are off, etc., etc. So this is Larry. It's now probably put. Oh yeah, traction is also in the Lariat mode. I don't know if this is the right way to go, but pretty good. It's just nice. Like, it's such a weird way to explain it, but I could do a lot of miles in this car very happily. Pedestrian, slow down, Sam, and then launch it. It doesn't feel neck-breakingly fast, but it just is just a lovely amount of power. All of these cars these days, you know, more and more horsepower figures. 550, it's about right for the road. We're still going way too fast, but I really like this car, people. I wish it sounded a little bit better, but I really like this thing. Well, I've pulled over quickly by a relatively pretty river, but with a very pretty car, to check out a few things. Firstly, the weight. Now, I've been pleasantly but confusingly surprised by this, because the claimed curb weight of this car is just under 1,800 kilos, 1,795. Now, look, that's not that light for a sports car, but in the modern world, it is pretty light. And it's lighter than it felt, which is the weird thing. I thought this thing would be like 1950 or something like that. It doesn't quite add up to me that the car is lighter than I thought it was behind the wheel, but I mean, we'll go with it, and I guess it's a good thing, I suppose. Next thing I wanted to remind myself of was the price, because I said it earlier, Maserati want you to think of this thing as a Bentley Continental GT rival, not an F-Type R rival like I keep claiming it to be. So price-wise, well, is this going to surprise you? I don't know. The Trofeo version, which I'm in right now, in the UK, starts at like 165 grand, plus options. I don't think that's awful. I mean, I thought it was going to be like 195 plus options. It's a lot of money, but it's not as much as it could be. So both of them, I'm like, oh, well, my head's been in the wrong place. Now, the interesting thing is you can get a cheaper version of this car, the modern spec. It's got less power, but it's less money. And I wouldn't necessarily knock that. It's a bit like I'm going to compare it to an F-Type again. It's a bit like a V6 F-Type or now the four-cylinder. If you're not about all-out performance, and I'm not sure you need to be in this thing, then maybe the modern is a good route to go. Now, like so many brands, Maserati have already announced its aim to go all electric by 2030. And they're kind of kick-starting this movement with its range called Folgore, which is the Italian word for lightning. I'm probably not pronouncing that particularly well. But yeah, basically every single model in its range will have an electric version, including this car. It looks identical to this car, meaning that an electric car had to be built on this platform. And when you look at the Folgore, it's got 3 electric motors and it weighs well over 2 tons, like I think 2.12 or something insane like that. Now here is my thing. I feel like us combustion engine enthusiasts have ended up with a bit of a secret steal, because take out all the electric gubbins, put in a normal engine, and it's suddenly a lot lighter, a lot cheaper, and maybe a lot better. And the weird thing is, because Maserati are so focused on promoting this new Folgore brand and the electric version of the new GranTurismo, it feels like the combustion engine car's kind of just going under the radar. If you go online, there really aren't many reviews of the new combustion version of the GranTurismo, at least video reviews from the UK or European media. There's a handful of US video reviews, but even still, not what you'd expect for such an important car from Maserati. I mentioned I struggled to get hold of one of these things. This car is actually a rental from Trofeo. I was so keen to check it out, I just paid to drive it. But at least that means I owe nothing to Maserati in this video, so when I tell you I like it, I genuinely really like it. My feeling is, though, that, well, no one's really going to believe me, and because there's not a lot of push from Maserati around this car, it's just kind of going to get overlooked and forgotten, which would be a shame. Anyway, plenty of food for thought as I now head back to the city, because yes, it's 5 to 5. Got an hour and 15 minutes to Times Square, because I thought, you know what, haven't been to New York for a while, might as well drive through Times Square on my way to the hotel. So let's see if we make it before the sun goes down. So yeah, 40 miles ahead of us. Oh, what's my MPG been so far? We've done 65 miles today, 13.4 MPG. Everything I just said about the combustion engine has gone out the window. That's not good. That is not good. Anyway.
When I'm at home, I got no one to hold. Won't you tell me I'll be there? If my mind is reeling from the stress that I'm feeling, I need you. I'll be there.
Well, from the woods of Connecticut into the skyscrapers of Manhattan. I love this city. Like, I really love this city. When I was like 17 or 18, I nearly moved here for a job, but it didn't quite work out. So I've always just felt like it's an itch I need to scratch. It's just such a cool freaking place. Not a great place to drive though, really not. I've been sitting in traffic for about 45 minutes now. Haven't really gone that far. Also on top of that, pedestrians a little bit crazy, cyclists insane. And then these like crater-sized potholes and then raised construction. It's not really somewhere you want to be in a low-slung car. Everyone here is basically in SUVs. This car isn't that low, but it's also got a very clever four-wheel lift system. So I've got it in the raised position now, just to give myself a bit of breathing room. The same system lowers the car at speed to help with error and things like that. But yeah, I'm a bit nervous. It's why I wanted to get here in the daylight, so I could just kind of keep an eye on everything going on. Now it's pretty much dark, and I'm just like, things are coming from everywhere. I mean, look at this crossing. People are just impatient in New York, which I kind of love. Reminds me of London, but it just means you've got to really pay attention, especially when you just got here and you're probably jet lagged out of your brain. But we are about to arrive.
200 yards, turn right onto Broadway.
There we go. Susie Satnav welcoming us into Times Square in this Maserati. Oh, I mean, I can't say enough positive things about this car, can I? I've got to rein it in at some point, but let's at least turn into the square itself, and that can be a celebratory moment for us today.
When I'm at home, I got no one to hold. Won't you tell me I'll be there? If my mind is reeling from the stress that I'm feeling, I need you. I'll be there. I just need your love, and I long for your touch. Won't you tell me?
Well, what an epic start to this trip. Today has been mega. This is my hotel for the next few days, the Soho Grand. I've just dumped the Maserati downstairs with the valet. That car's been such a revelation today. I honestly wasn't expecting to like it. I didn't really enjoy the Grecale Trofeo thing, and I kind of just felt like they were going to probably have messed up the GranTurismo and just got it all wrong, and I was going to leave feeling a bit cold about it. But no, I'm obsessed. I think I'm obsessed because, well, essentially it's a more practical Italian F-Type, so therefore it's going to tick all of my boxes. I shouldn't sit here and pretend like it's the world's greatest GT car. I haven't spent enough time with it yet. I haven't driven enough of its rivals, I don't think. So it's just, yeah, it's just a bit of me. I have worked out though, there is one rival that I haven't mentioned at all yet, which is the really obvious rival, the new Mercedes AMG GT. That thing is now also four-wheel drive, also has 4 seats, but has kept its hunking great V8 and is probably going to be a little bit better to drive. No guarantees there, but in the UK they're priced exactly the same, so that's very much the consideration. But yeah, I'm always going to lead towards the Italians, and I think that's it. I just like looking down and seeing a Maserati badge. It feels like another Maserati we can be proud of. But I think a lot of people will overlook it because of the engine and the pricing and I don't know, just people overlook Maseratis, don't they? Boy, is it a lovely car to spend some time in. Wonder if on the Alps it would go. Anyway, I'm a jet lag mess. I'm rambling because I'm a jet lag mess. It's hit me hard. So I need to pass out, but I'll sum up today with a big Shmee-esque double thumbs up.